Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 40. Today we have Gustavo Costa, or Gus, if you prefer, with us. He's a good friend of mine. We met at work. We worked together at a global company for about, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. I don't know. For
About that.
Yeah. And it's very interesting because I remember the very first time I saw his name on an email, somebody was recommending him for the company. And the company ended up hiring him, extremely determined, dedicated. In a few months, he was already a supervisor. And crazy thing is that he learned English to work for a global company. And he made it, I don't know, I'll ask him to talk better about it, but it's like a kind of crazy process. And we have the honor today to have him sharing some about his processes, how English has impacted his life positively, and also what he thinks is most important for you that want to learn English. So thank you so very much for joining us. How are you doing today?
Well, thanks for having me, Andre. It's a very great honor to be here with you guys as well. As you said, I'm Gus, and we met each other back in the company we used to work together about 1.5 years ago. I'm 24. I'm from BH, I'm married for 2 years. I've been married for 2 years. I like sports, mainly radical ones, and I used to practice martial arts for a very long time. And one of the fun facts I have is that I can use nunchaku extremely well, so like Bruce Lee. So I'm a martial artist, but I'm not practicing martial arts at the moment, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, it's very close contact. So I hope very soon we're going to be returning to normal when I'm going to be able to practice it again. I'm really interested in books, business, English. I'm also an English teacher, right, and a coordinator at a school called American Prime. And I think that's all, for instance.
Yeah. This school is where everything started, right? So how was your process like? How was your process to learn English? And how did you make it so quickly? And how has American Prime helped you in this process? Like the school was like as an institution, methodology, and of course, without your commitment, it wouldn't happen. But how was this process for you?
Yeah, so first of all, I don't name this business as a school. I name it as as a solution for my problems, because usually people, they are looking for schools to learn English, and here is a place where people will guide you till you down with your destination till you get there. And that happened to me. Everything started back in July 2017, when I first came here to get to know the place and people, because I decided on studying English. All of a sudden, I thought it would be necessary someday. Even now, having past good experience with the English back in school days.
So it was just like that, like out of nowhere, you went like, I'll learn English.
Yes, it was because I was kind of tending to start college. Then eventually a very great and close friend of mine called Peter talked to me and said that for me to be a great professional, I had to have English. So English was going to be necessary for me in the future. Then I decided on postponing college and taking English at that moment. So I came here. Then I got to know the place and I fell in love, like those movies when couple fall in love at first sight. I fell in love with the school, the environment, people, the method, and everything. Then I started to study English, and In 8 months, I went to an event, you know, a nearby school, and I was speaking English. I don't know how. I was simply speaking English and communicating extremely well. And I
Eight
remember,
months.
yes, I remember back then people saying things like, "Yes, you could be a great teacher," and I was like, "Come on, I just, you know, I mean, I know I've done well so far, but my history with English was horrible back in school." And I didn't really believe that because I didn't really like English back then. And I thought I would never need English for anything in my life. You know? Then I was simply not studying at all at school.
Mhm.
So I was recruited, you know, from the fifth grade to the last year in high school. So I think only the last year I passed because otherwise I would be recruited. But you know, my history with English was not really good before 2017. You know,
Did you know that mine was also like that? I didn't like English. Never
uh,
been good in English like at all. Have I ever told you that?
not really, but I believe you because that happened to me. You know.
Yeah. Actually, one time, I think in 2020 something, I was in a process to teach at one of those big English schools in the country, and we were 10 teachers at a room just talking, like kind of self-introduction thing, and you had to say something about you. And everybody was like, yeah, I've always loved English. It's always been part of my life. And then it was my turn. I went like, yeah, I'm like different from everybody here. I've never liked it. Never thought I would be able to speak it. And I learned it
Here
because I need it. And here I am. And we were 10
I
people. Only two were approved in the process. I was one of the two. So
am.
everybody that liked it, like, didn't help much.
Yes, yes. I mean,
So
what happens in the
2017,
past?
oh, sorry, I
No,
spoke
no
with you.
problem. I mean, what happens in the past doesn't really matter, right? And not, and it doesn't determine the future either, you know. So yeah, it
Yeah, that's true.
happens.
So 8 months, you're speaking English, and what happens after that?
Wow.
So that was already
Then it was,
2018.
yeah, it was 2018. So it was a life changing, bro. You know, because okay, March 2018. I was already speaking English really well. You know, I was able to communicate effectively. You know, then very soon I started a program called Prime Lab. You know, which is a program that helps students to become a teachers here at school. You know, then I had the opportunity to learn more about teaching skills, and I recall that finishing this process in the end of 2018. You know, kind of 2018, beginning of 2019. I don't recall with exactly. You know, but it was interesting that normally it usually takes like 21 months for you to speak English fluently here in our school. But before completing the 21 months, I was already a teacher here, you know. So before graduating, I was already approved in the Prime Lab, and I had already my first class, and I was already teaching, you know. And interestingly,
It's
that
crazy.
yes, for you to teach here, there is a process. You have to become like, I mean, you gotta go from a student to a monitor, and then somebody will supervise you and give
Mhm.
you the proper guidance for you to become a teacher, you know. And I jumped, you know, like I went from a student to a teacher,
You're
like
like,
this in a
what's up,
second period, you know.
guys? I want to teach. Excuse me. It's like,
Yes, and then I became a teacher back in April 2019, to be more accurate here. And right after that, I had the chance to meet you, you know, uh, back in the company you used to work.
So when did you start at the company we won't name? Like,
Yeah,
just kidding.
no
When did you
problem.
start there? I'm just kidding,
It
guys.
was,
The company is DNS Global Solutions. That's where we work.
yes, that's
If
fine.
you go to LinkedIn and find us, you'll find it anyway. So
Yes. I think it was the the interview I had with the HR department was in May. Then in June, I had already started working with them and with you actually.
yeah, I did the onboarding with you, right? For a week.
Yeah, you did. You
Yeah,
did.
I used to
Yes.
do it with everybody in Latin America. It was a great experience. And
Yes.
so before we move forward, what did you work with before you became an English teacher? Like, what did you do before you spoke English?
Oh, wow.
Or were you in call? Like, I don't know, how old were you when it happened? I'm just kind of lost in time because
Oh,
right now you're like 23 or
4,
4, 23.
24.
So you were just finishing high school.
Yeah, so basically, as soon as I finished high school, when I was 18, I started working for a company nearby, not necessarily nearby, but in between, you know.
Mhm.
Then I worked for this company for about 3, 4 years. It was basically my first job in Spain. Then I joined the company as an assistant, and then in a year or so, I actually in 3 months I had been promoted for the first time. When I joined the company, and after 3 months,
Nice.
it took me more, believe it or not, 8 months to, believe it or
Everything in your
not,
life happens in 8 months. Did you
believe it
date
or
eight
not,
months before getting married?
no, almost 8 years.
I just kidding. You see, 8 again.
No problem.
That's her
No
number.
problem. Yeah, so almost 8 months later, I was promoted, and I was promoted to replace my boss actually. So my boss was fired,
Nice.
and I was promoted to replace her. Um, then I kept on learning everything in the company. I tried to learn as much as I could from every department I could as well. Um, then when I had been promoted again, I had a better salary and etc. I was a board assistant of the company, and I used to work directly with the board, with the owners of the company, and fix any sort of issue you can possibly imagine. Then I had the chance to start working as a teacher. So initially, I had 2 jobs. I used to work 8 to 5, and from 6 to 9, I used to be a teacher, and also on Saturdays. But eventually, in June 2019, I had the chance to join DNS, and then I changed it, drastically the area that I used to work. I kept on working on 2 jobs, but that's exactly what I used to do before, working with you back in DNS and being an English teacher as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So the reason why I asked about your background uh, is because I want to touch on something that we've talked about. The experience at DNS, it was for both of us life-changing. Mostly in the way we work and the way we see like business, the way we deal with people. And I wanted to ask you that in your first employment, like in the first place you worked, did you experience such a deep transformation the way you did working at DNS? Because here you worked with Brazilians, something very local, and at DNS we worked like globally. You had to deal with people
Mm-hmm.
from Europe to Africa, Brazil, the US. So I want to pretty much trying to summarize it. How were the transformations you experienced before you could communicate in English and after?
Wow. I mean, it was my life was like put upside down completely. You know, if I could summarize everything in one sentence, upside down, because working locally is not really hard or challenging because besides the problems that we have to fix, the mean of communication, which was Portuguese, at the time I was working for this company, it was pretty easy. I already mastered, so it was not difficult for me at all to communicate with people. But when I went to DNS, it was a different world because I not only had to get things done, but also to communicate using my second language, which is English, you know. So it was an upside down in my life completely.
And so you learned a lot more in this global environment than locally
Of
because it was
course,
harder.
of course, way harder. You know, having to contact people, as you mentioned, you know, from all over the places, you know, US, Africa, Europe, Latin America as well, right?
Mhm.
And it was such an enormous, like tremendous cultural difference between people. And then I had to learn a little bit about each one of them so I could try to adapt myself into the situation and conversation and try to communicate more effectively. Because when you work locally, you don't have those discrepancies, you know. I mean, even though you have it, they are pretty small compared when you're working globally, you know. So it was really hard for me to understand people's idea, to understand, you know, what people were trying to mean in the words they were saying. But it was fantastic experience after all. But
Mm.
you know, that's the most challenging part was to trying to understand differences, you know.
Yeah, and that's the point about communication. I feel like we get so caught up in the language itself, like the sounds, the words, vocabulary, and a lot of people know a lot of English, but they can't communicate, while others don't have this like massive vocabulary, but they
Mm-hmm.
can communicate. So communication not necessarily means having great English skills, right?
Mm-hmm. You can be a great English speaker and a terrible communicator. And the same goes for Portuguese or any other language in the world.
Yeah. I remember this example Mariana Pascal uses on her TEDx about, I think she went to a pharmacy or like some sort of
Oh,
store.
in
Do you
Malaysia, right?
remember that one? Yes. So
Yes,
she
I
lived in
do.
Malaysia. Yes. So
Yes.
that's like the perfect picture for me. For you guys
Mhm.
listening, there were two people. One was a great speaker, but was so concerned about communicating like the technical things, and the other one was not a great like speaker. She had very limited English, but she was focused on getting the problem resolved, and she helped her,
Mhm.
while the other, like the fancy lady, couldn't make it. So how do you see communication in this aspect? Actually, how do you see learning a new language focusing more on communication than the skills itself? Like, how do you guys approach it at American Prime, the best English school
So,
in the city?
yes, in Brazil, actually. I'm kidding. Yes, that's it. Basically, Andre, um, people are usually focused on speaking English, but they don't really care about the quality of their communication. I mean, speaking words properly, pronouncing everything properly, having a great pace when you're speaking, it sounds really great. But if the person doesn't get your message properly, you're a terrible communicator, So I guess why we have to study, not, I'm not being specific. I don't want to mean you have to learn it specifically for English. No, for Portuguese or whatever language you speak. Understand? I think communication it's the key for everything. And I didn't used to study communication when I didn't speak English. Understand? And after learning English, I had understood, according to some challenges that I had to experience, that communication was very important for me. Then I had to study a lot about this, and we believe that the best teacher or the best doctor or the best soccer player is not the one that plays the most or is the best player in the field or the best doctor in terms of technical vocabulary or the teacher is the best teacher because he has the best English. No, but it's a teacher that can communicate more effectively, than the others. So if you're able to communicate effectively, people will get you straight. And after that, people will act on it and they will learn. So basically, communication is the secret for everything. And having the best English doesn't necessarily mean that you are a great communicator at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember studying communication before I spoke English either. And I don't think I was young when I started, so probably I was 17. Before that, I was just playing soccer, so I probably didn't study communication.
Mhm.
But one thing that's very interesting is that my communication in Portuguese has increased dramatically after I learned how to speak English. I feel like mostly because we pay more attention to the communication process itself. Did it happen to you as well?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. So if you want to communicate better, you should learn English, like me in
Yes.
Portuguese. And
Yes.
in the learning process, in your perspective, what do you consider the most important steps? Like you as a person, what do you consider like critically important for a person to learn English?
Oh, very great. I think first of all is having consistency. I think consistency is not going to lead you to be perfect, but is going to lead you to have something permanent. So I guess working every single day as much as you can. Moreover, as I have the hunger, and I was really ambitious to learn English. I believe that studying like no one else could ever imagine, the amount of hours I used to spend studying English. It was very important as well for me to learn English so quickly. Consistency, hunger, ambitions, and vision for the future. I think that's it. Because let me tell you something. There is no such interesting method that's going to make an interested student learn English. And the other way around, So if you have a very interested student, a very committed student, but the method is not really good, the student you end up learning because the student is committed. Understand?
Yeah.
So that's it basically.
And that's so cool. Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
Like the methodology or the way you approach English isn't the most important in the process. I even recorded a video today about it. I'll send it to you. I'll send you the link.
Oh,
Talking
thank you.
about talking about stuff that are more important in the process than the methods. And I feel like there are two main points. One of them, and the most important, is the student. Like if you're dedicated, you learn anything or about anything you want in your life, and that's amazing. Also, last time we talked, you told me a story of a taxi on approaching the learning process. Like you don't learn English just to learn it, or you don't learn something just because you want to
Yeah.
have the skill. Can you share a
Yes.
little bit about it?
Oh, yes. That's really interesting. I was about to talk, you know, I was about to say it actually.
For real?
So interestingly, that yes, yes, interesting
What a
that
connection.
as yes, as I said at the beginning, um, I think I've never applied English before 2017, and all of a sudden start studying. There must be a reason for me to start doing it, and the reason was that I don't see English as a destination. I see English as a taxi, the car, the vehicle. And whenever you get in a taxi, the cab driver will ask you, "Hey, where we are heading to?" And then you have to answer, "Oh, I'm going home. I'm going to São Paulo, whatever." And English is the car, and the driver is your mentor, your teacher, or maybe yourself, depending on the case. And I guess knowing my destination, it helped me to see English like a car, like a vehicle that could get me there, that could help me to reach that target. And that's basically that. English, it should never be your focus. English should be the means of transportation. And the destination is something related to English, but it's not English itself, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very interesting. And you said earlier on, when we started, that you could start college, but you chose to start English instead.
Thank
And
God I did.
it would be another vehicle. Like you'd probably be taking the bus, and then you took the taxi with English. So
Yes.
that was a good choice of yours.
Yes. Thank God it was. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I like to say that English is a tool. It's also something I got from Mariana Pascal, which we've mentioned already. She says that English is not a art to be mastered; it is a tool to be used. And it,
Uh-huh.
like the backbone of it, is the same as the taxi idea. Like English is not your outcome like itself; it's the tool you have to do what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing, just instead of saying
Yeah.
taxi, it's the tool.
Yes.
But I like the taxi idea because you can have different transportations to take you the same place. Let's say you want to make more money. You can learn a profession that will pay you more, or you can learn English, which will increase your salary at whatever profession you have.
Uh-huh.
So those would be two vehicles. Or if you want to travel to another country and you want to be able to communicate, you can hire a translator to go with you, or you can learn English. So like it's just a
Absolutely.
vehicle, as you mentioned. I like this metaphor because it communicates very clearly the idea behind it. It's a
And you know what is great about this metaphor, Andrea? It's because um, when you get in a taxi, you must tell your destination. Otherwise, the driver is not starting driving the car. If you don't know where you're going to, how you're even starting to go, where are you going? So
that's a
understand, you gotta know where you're going to, so you can use the taxi properly.
yeah. And it reminds me of the word motivation, this point, because we tend to relate motivation with being pumped up about something, being like inspired to do something. And actually, motivation is having a reason, having a motive to do something.
Mhm.
So your destination is your reason, which we can relate to Simon Sinek, the golden circle, which you love.
Yes, I
So
do.
do you think the golden circle is the answer for a person that needs to learn English? Knowing your why will take you there?
Of course, absolutely. If you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, what are you doing it for? I mean, what is the reason you do what you're doing if you don't know the
Like
reason?
if you're doing, you don't know what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing. Like, what's
Yes,
happening?
it sounds ironic, but it's true, you know.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's obvious, but people don't think about it. And
Mhm.
even if we get deeper on it, like just talking about life and society, I would say I don't want to be too like judgmental on my percentage, but I would say for sure over 70% of people live their lives just on autopilot. Like they don't know what they do, why they do what they do. Like it's just that's how it works. Like, come on, we
The
have
go
to,
mode, right?
yeah, like we have to pay the bills. You gotta have a job that will pay you uh, like a little salary, and then you'll be in debt, and you have to work harder to pay this debt, and then you're just on this hamster wheel, and then you're 80 years old, retired, and then you die. Like I think it relates to the same thing. If you don't know why you do what you do, you get trapped by yourself and just go on
Mhm.
autopilot. Do you agree?
Yes, I couldn't agree more. You know, something that Tony Robbins says, if you don't make a decision to know where you're going to, somebody else will make it for you. And they will take you wherever they want you to go. So it's one way or the or another.
Yeah, that's
That's it.
amazing. That's awesome. And getting this hook from Tony Robbins and using a sentence by Steve Jobs says life is too short to live somebody else's dream, something like that.
Mhm.
I'm
Yes.
just trying to paraphrase it. I don't remember the exact sentence. But like, what are your plans? What are your dreams moving forward with English as an amazing tool or an amazing taxi to take you? I mean, whatever you want to go, you can do lots of stuff. And you're part of an
Yes.
amazing project today that's incredible,
Yes.
part of a great team. So, like, where's your taxi heading pretty much right now?
Well, that's really easy to answer. Andrea, for me to be able to answer this question for you, I think it's necessary for me to go back a little bit and explain, you know, how much I've changed in the course of few years ago. So initially, I I had English as a vehicle. I wanted to work in a global company, and then I did it. And then after that, I realized it could be also an English teacher, you know. And then I was really focused on teaching people and trying to help people to achieve their destination as well. But very soon I had understood that you know I'm really good at training people, you know, to become a teacher, you know. So you remember the prime lab I told you
Mm-hmm.
before that I joined and I was a student and I became a teacher. So this year I did the first edition here, and now there are a couple of teachers that are from this project and they are former students. So interestingly, my first student is a teacher now. So she just graduated,
That's
you
awesome.
know, and she's a teacher. So I'm a product of this product, understand? And when I think about my future, I want more of it. You know, I want to keep learning how to teach people, and I want to keep studying about business and scale the business. You know, um, with the home school and the same with Thiago mainly. And that's it. When I think about future, I think about American pride and keeping studying, keep like improving myself, because something I learned from Joe Maxwell: things will never change around you till you change first. Only then, after you change, things around you will change. So I think, if I want a different future, I need to change now, and I need to direct my focus, the things that I study on a daily basis, towards my vision. And that's what I'm doing. I'm studying like never before: English, andragogy, how to teach people, grammar, materials, business, communication, whatsoever. So that's the future.
That's the future. Development. That's it.
Yes.
Evolving.
Yes.
Improving. And that's inspiring, because what's the goal? The goal is to continue. Like, we don't have a finish line. There is this very good quote by Joko Willink. He says, I want to be stronger, smarter, more intelligent, wiser, and more humble. Like, that's what I want to do.
Yes.
Like,
and
everything and more humble, and that's it.
Yes, and you know what? I guess there are two I don't know, type of people. The ones that are growth conscious, understand, and the ones who wants to reach their destination. Some people, they will reach their destination, then you think, oh, I'm done now. I've reached what I wanted, and that's it. But growth conscious people, they are always learning, and I really see this in myself. I really think I'm a growth conscious person, and I'm trying to become 1% better day by day, and that's it. And that's how I achieved everything in my life. It has worked pretty well, as you could see, as I can see it now. So I will keep doing it for a long while, I guess.
Flávio Augusto says it. He says, you're either going up or you're moving down. Like, there is no stability. There is no middle ground. There is no, you're either
plateaus. There's no plateaus.
You're either moving forward or backwards. And that's the way to go.
Yes, man, exactly.
Awesome. I really think that will be very inspiring for people, just to continue moving forward and to understand how powerful English can be in their lives. And the secret is not having a final destination, but is growing. Like, if you grow every day, your future will certainly be better, because you'll be better. And as you said, if you're different, your environment will be different. You will make the change. Right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that's it for today. It was a great pleasure having you. So thank you so much for your time, first of all, and also for sharing your ideas, which are very valuable, and for sharing about your process. I've told you that before when we worked together, but I really admire your dedication, hard work ethics, and I'm so glad to see you're not only maintaining, but also adding more value to what you already had like a couple of years ago. And who knows, we might continue having like episodes like this for the next few years, sharing about accomplishments, more things we learned. And as we said before, we need to be around people that will help you to grow. So thank you very much.
Come on. Thanks for having me. It was great to spend this time with you. And I hope that, this conversation of ours can somehow impact people's lives and help them to find a direction, to find their taxi cab and and move forward as well, you know.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you guys for listening or watching. Take care, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.